Assalamu alaikum and welcome to AMANI Birth in the Gambia. This is our Saving Lives Today series, and I'm Aisha Al-Hajar, the founder of AMANI Birth, with my dear friend Salama Karama, who has a deep heart for saving lives by bringing knowledge and education to women in families in the Gambia.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Aisha. So today, inshallah, we want to talk about the importance and role of iron and calcium during pregnancy.
Yes, actually, big items, both of them. And oftentimes given as supplements by our medical care providers around the world. Let's talk about iron first. So, of course, if you don't have enough iron in your blood, you'll be considered iron deficient or potentially anemic. Iron is responsible for carrying oxygen throughout the blood. So if you're iron deprived, you're also oxygen deprived, which means it leads to tiredness and other complications. A mother who's iron deficient in her first trimester has a greater risk of having issues with her pregnancy. In particular, she may have interuterine growth restricted baby, which means the baby's not growing the way that it should. She may have a loss. More likelihood as the pregnancy carries on that she might have a preterm birth. So having a lack of iron in the blood is really a big deal during pregnancy. It's really important that you have your iron levels checked, because if you are iron deficient, then that might be a time to start supplements. I always suggest eat iron-rich foods through your whole life, but preceding your pregnancy, throughout your pregnancy. And I'll let you share maybe a little bit more about what are iron-rich foods in the diets of Gambian women, since you know their diets better than I do. But I want to say that an iron level of 13 going into pregnancy is good. 11 is like a borderline cutoff. 10, we're starting to get concerned. 9, we're really concerned. 7 is severe iron deficiency. Anything lower than that, it's lucky that you're even able to be awake, or alive. And the other issue you have to recognize, the other issue
between 11 and 13.
Yeah, I would like to see you come in at 13, like 12, 13. 11 is like, I'm okay with you at 11. Also realize your blood volume increases over the course of your pregnancy, and the iron, and this dilutes the iron. So this means that you might be 13 going into pregnancy, but by second, third trimester, it might be dropped down a few points, and that's normal. And that's a good sign that you have a good blood volume increase. So at the end of the day, like we expect somewhere mid to third trimester, we're going to see your iron hemoglobin numbers go down, and that's okay, and that's normal. But what we don't want to see is you coming in low to where that becomes dangerous, towards the end of the pregnancy. We don't want to see, iron deficiency at birth. Number one, we don't want mom to have such an iron deficiency that she can't handle normal postpartum bleeding. Remember, we talked about before postpartum hemorrhage being a big problem in the Gambia, and one of the issues is not so much how much blood you lose. I mean, that's a quantifiable number. But more important than that is how much can I, as an individual woman, tolerate that blood loss. The lower your iron scores, the less you can tolerate the blood loss. And the more then even a normal bleed becomes an issue for you, to your health, or maybe even to your life in general. So we don't want women to be so iron deficient that they can't even handle a normal bleed, let alone a potential postpartum hemorrhage.
Okay.
So I want you to talk about the iron-rich foods in the Gambia.
Foods in the Gambia, not too many green leafy vegetables are present, but some of the, more heme forms of iron coming from meat sources, primarily like your chicken, beef. But one of the things that they eat a lot in Gambia are oysters. So, I mean, it's surrounded by sea, so the ocean. So oysters have like about 10 milligrams of in per serving in oysters. Shrimp, sardines is another one, which is also great in protein. It's an excellent source of protein as well in iron. So these are all options that women can increase during pregnancy. In the Gambia, I feel like it's readily available to them. I know like liver is not something that pregnant women are encouraged to eat a lot of, but perhaps if you know that
it is iron rich,
right, but it's iron rich. But if you know that you're planning to become pregnant or to get pregnant, you should probably increase your liver intake prior to pregnancy to build up your iron levels. So that's a good way to, pre-plan for your pregnancy, inshallah.
And I also want to swing into the next thing you wanted to talk about today, which is calcium, is that iron is not absorbed very easily in the presence of calcium. So if you're going to have iron-rich food, you want to take that with a vitamin C food. So iron-rich food with a citrus, right?
Yeah.
So tomatoes are great in improving your iron absorption. So if you're going to take the iron, let's absorb it too.
Yes.
So don't have a glass of milk. Have it with tomato juice, or have it with orange juice, or something citrusy that's got vitamin C.
Yes.
The other thing I want to say, if you are taking supplements, and you should, if your iron levels are depleted. You should be getting your prenatal labs. Prenatal care is really important, that you get your prenatal labs so we know your baseline, where you're starting out, and whether or not you need supplementing. They pretty much supplement everybody around the world. I have a little bit of an issue with supplementing people who don't need it, but we'll just leave it there. But saying this, if you truly do need supplementation, or you're going to take supplementation, again, if they're going to give you an iron pill, maybe a calcium pill, don't take them together. Iron and calcium don't go together. You'll cancel out the iron by taking the calcium at the same time. Don't take an iron pill with a glass of milk. You won't be absorbing the iron. So it's take it with a glass of orange juice or tomato juice, because iron is absorbed well with citrus, and that's something that's kind of missing in the knowledge out there. People aren't really sharing.
Yes.
Yeah. Even people who prescribe, like I'll prescribe you iron and calcium, and I forget to tell you don't take them together. I mean, I don't, but medical care providers will forget to tell you not to take them together. So, this is an important bit that's kind of left off. And I know you wanted to speak about calcium also.
Yes. I know blood volume. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in relationship, I want to talk about it in relationship to not only blood volume, but in relationship to muscle contracting. Calcium is important for muscle contraction. So if you're depleted in calcium, well, first of all, your baby needs calcium to build his bones and teeth. This is one supplement that you will become depleted in, and your body will rob from you to give to the baby. Most stuff, if it's not circulating in your body, you're not taking it in, your baby's not getting it. Calcium, on the other hand, it's stored in your bones. So calcium will be depleted, and iron is stored also, by the way, in your body. So iron and calcium will be depleted for the sake of the baby. So mothers end up being really depleted and sick because they've, not kept up their intake during pregnancy, and then their babies are, kind of leaching that off of their body. Most other nutrients, you have to have them in order for the baby to get them, but iron and calcium, are stored in the body. And so you have to understand, calcium is super important, not only for the developing baby, bones and teeth and these things, but it's also super important for the mother's ability to contract. And if mom can't contract, what happens after birth is the uterus doesn't contract down. We need the uterus to be well contracted right after birth. And if the uterus doesn't contract down after birth because it just doesn't have the oomph to do it, it stays big as if the baby were still in there, but the baby's gone. Then what will happen is the mother will bleed to death, because the placental site where the placenta was attached is an open place for maternal blood to pour into the placenta, right? But normally there's a placenta there to catch it. It flows in and it flows out. No placenta, where does it flow? In through the womb and out the vagina, and you've got a mother hemorrhaging if she doesn't contract. So it's really important. We talk, a lot of what we're talking about here for the Gambia is we're talking about that blood loss after birth, because I know that's the #1 maternal mortality issue.
Yes.
So, we talked before about the importance of protein and sodium and water, hydration, in order to increase her blood volume, as should be during pregnancy. Now we need to also talk about other elements in the diet, the iron and the calcium, that are so important in the big picture of saving lives.
In the big picture of nutrition, overall balance, like you said, in our nutrition. Yes. And calcium, in AMANI Birth Education, we encourage women to consume milk, dairy products. Gambia doesn't have a lot of resources of dairy products. So
there are
other sources that they can increase. Oranges are also they eat a lot of oranges there. Cabbage, sardines also have calcium in it.
Oh, good.
So sardines is I'm going back. It's it's the protein. There's the iron. There's the calcium. Eating maybe a can of sardines in the morning, can of sardines in the evening, and you have there at least 40, 50% of your protein, intake that you need for the day. And then as well as increasing calcium, it has 351 milligrams of calcium in one can. And, the recommendation is about 1,000 milligrams per day in calcium for pregnant women. So eating 2 cans of that is getting you closer to where you need to be, supplementing with other vegetables that are calcium rich. But dairy, if they can increase their dairy intake, that would be excellent. I mean, I know most people may not have access to dairy products, but they are there. They're in the Gambia. They can get milk. But I know we talked about pasteurized versus unpasteurized milk. Someone there's not recommended that you drink unpasteurized milk, but if you said that if someone
used to drinking already, it's probably fine. But if it's new to their diet, that's not such a good idea.
Okay. So if they're already used to drinking it, then they could continue with that.
Right.
Yeah, just don't introduce something new into the diet, Samala.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you, I know that we have some brothers supporting us, a couple of different brothers supporting us with language. Is anybody around that you can grab that can help us with the translation?
With the translation? I don't know, I might have to put one of them. Yeah. Seema, could you help us a little bit with some translation this morning?
Brother Seema, you know I respect you so much. Could you help us?
He can try.
Well, let me say, you can't do any worse than me, because I don't speak Gambian language at all. I don't even know the name of the Gambian language. What's the name of the Gambian language? I don't even know the name of the language.
Well, different languages. About 7 different languages.
7.
Yeah.
Well, pick one. Just pick one.
Yeah, I think
that's like the one.
Yeah. But I have one question. The role of caffeine, how does caffeine show up in a woman's diet during pregnancy? Is it something that,
well,
we talk about?
Yeah, caffeine, of course, is an addictive item to start with, and caffeine will deplete your hydration. You could sit and drink coffee or tea all day long if it's caffeinated coffee or tea all day long, and you'll still be dehydrated because it's actually a diuretic. So it actually is depleting your body of much needed hydration. And with that, you have a hard time processing all the other nutrients if your body is dehydrated. So it's also something to remember is passing your placenta. Would you give your baby a cup of coffee or a can of Coke or, or a Pepsi or a glass of tea? If you wouldn't serve it to your baby, don't put it in your body. You know what I mean? And women will be like, well, just a couple of cups a day are fine, right? Everything in moderation. And I'm like, well, if you were my daughter, I'd be telling you put it away. So, you can drink it if you want. It's your body, your baby, your life. But if you were my daughter, I'd be taking it away from you. So, take it that way.
Yeah, and women should avoid it if they can at all costs. Avoid drinking caffeine, drinking teas. Yeah. So today, do you mind sitting with us a little bit? We're about to wrap up, so you can.
Yes. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love this family. By the way, I love this family very much. This is Brother Seema and Sister Salama. Their children go to school with my children, and so we're very close, kind of family, as you would say. And I really appreciate if you could just share a few of the tips that we just shared in one of the local languages to help reach more mothers in the Gambia. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Okay.
So, just to recap, we're talking about the role of iron and protein. And iron sources come from meat and certain meat. But in Gambia, one of the most enriched low iron foods. So you can get a low iron and providing and it's one of the causes of women having low iron because of anemia. Yeah, and we talk about models going into pregnancy.
Brother Seema is going to translate for us.
Yeah. Increase your iron levels pre-pregnancy. Liver, pregnancy when it's low liver, but if you're pregnant, that'll be a good source of iron rich food to increase iron levels. Iron, so if you're not pre-pregnancy, you're going to have
So it's just one moment. Brother Seema is being prepped so that he can talk to us in local language, inshallah.
If the baby is so if the mother it will take the baby. So we can say that we'll talk
So the liver, you said, should be
done pre-pregnancy. Don't avoid pregnancy,
but before
planning to get pregnant,
liver intake. And
oysters after pregnancy.
You mean during pregnancy? During pregnancy. Assalamualaikum. Baring Gambian Gorbe. Nga butumo. Mina prunga demanding translate, maniga kamoto. Mandi anak pruka direct translation from Kabo Angale kamoto, to Mandi. But I'll try my best, not prepared for it. But yeah. Okay, so come for the wala indiko nganya wala oysters. So nganya nying better le puru it's during pregnancy, right? Yeah, oysters. So nganya sardine aka better le puru nim muso konosero puru ka wodolta ibaje la kela iron level you increase, right? It increases your iron level. So if you have low iron level, then you get to anemia, right? Yeah. So iron nyimpuruka increase ila balo kono bajira nganyal ni ka nganyal domo sardinol and in oysters. Yeah, oysters is nganya. What's the other one? Sardines. And what else? Meat. So ning suboliga domo angalong ko Gambia, o soro mandia ba ke nganya o soro dia dele shrimp. Yeah, nganya atandi sipa nyol façon dol soro dia dele. So ñu be mu fenne de meni alan ko sipa nganya liver. Yeah, liver o mu fengol ñu usual thing, but go nyanda domala ko men jani mari be pregnancy sort jani bi da bar ni pregnancy sort of fa parede yakonota fa pareda. Then inyanda ka nganya try ka wosoro ka domo ka shrimp wala sipa de, and then what else? Yeah, that's at the hospital. Yeah, so yanda kara wadu ka check up ke puru isila iron level ni jibe ila wala level ni benyade because no de ka low blood level wala min ila yelo nyin kado ya. So but remember yelo la nyin lafa ngara ni momo yala ngoy pre itara foye konosoro ila yelo lafa inyanta ka wolle wo fengol le domo pour men ba sila yelo nyin lafa isaje ko blue water ata jarla pour moyta ka fo eko ka yelo nyin nan ka fo dolbe je ka fo ata ali yelo sample fa pare de janding amari be wulul. So musola balo nying prepare le fa pare da Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala musola balo prepare pour comme kanyin ka wuluno and ka enough fengosro ka yellow nan ka mosro me alan ko asi atabada nen no comme foita ka foy ka yelo do nyina. So ni kanyin ayan kanyin dol domo ay comme men kere même sipa di nganyati ning the third one sardines. Yeah, sardines ni ñu be mo fenne de men yalan gol dal man jawa baake ani subo be men kala tong Gambia be ka try to man drong ni afenga ila muskonoma e ka di wala baake because abana fala lay pour wala kala yelol la kol sone ande saje ko nata wulu wado don ade jarla alta yelo sannan alta nyin kanate. So ñu be mo kule de men yalan ko muskonoma ma ko so ko liba nyin wo mu watle de men yalan ko jannamari be kono sotla anyanda ka fengo dol domo dol be ma ko le ba ni fengo so kono so fa pare e manyana ka because said something about the blood coming from the heart, right? About you said something about the anemia.
Yes, anemia. If we have low blood iron, that means that we're anemic, and the body's not able to carry oxygen to the body. This is important.
So coming for anemia, wala como yellow la drea akasunga ni nyun le ni lak na nyun fengol be ma nyun be so to ila balo kono dron ngamen foten ibaje le ko na me to dron ila ibe o ila yelo la doyabe fengala wala na musol nyanta kara war kara ke ila yelo la karo ko ni check leptano isaje ko bala ko abe tembe juma do na rajida nyanta kanyun fengol lafa ke domo ibaje le ko asila yelo ni lafa fo janni la wulu wado tema isi fam prepare because muso nyanta ke pare wulu la manke dron ko wada kilin dron ning wulu wado sida la wado le bina ta leptan tal sian la nyanta fana ni dare je ka doctor ol nyinin ka pour nyin ko dol etol sila che fengol ke la bare nyanta ke nyin ka ila ayon lemul be nyaadi ila yelo la karol be nyaadi isaje ko
and taking
sina
with food. So when you're taking you want to take it with like you want to take it with some lemon, lime, taking it with vitamin C, it helps the absorption of iron.
Okay.
And then if they're taking calcium, they want to take that supplement. So calcium is
food with vitamin C.
With vitamin C
Rich food.
So take it with iron. They're taking your pill, they're taking iron-rich food. There's mangoes and different fruits all the time. So
okay, those fruits, is very vital.
Eat it with your rich food.
Okay, so coming ni bela domorol domale kala ni nyim fengol vitamin C fengol domo menela ko akada lemonol teng comme fruit sol lemonol teng lime too yeah lemonol kumongolu e ko tay wado do ikana ila domorol nyame ka domo in fact akela fengo ni absorb le pro aka ila balo na prepare janne wulu wado tem so même kada lemonol and in fact geofanam water you can put drink lime water the oranges too yeah geofanam me coming ka demanding lemon kumol demanding ka kono coming time to time ibaje ko take constipation also la right it with calcium right so you don't eat that with
iron and calcium separate.
Pills. Then separate. Okay. So iron fengol menga men fono menga sipasipal di aning oyster wala mo nganyalti. Comme ni yol ta don mo de ni manya na nyin dol tala 1 kilo at the same time. You don't take them at the same time. The calcium rich. So ole munol ni lemunol ni lemol ni fengol ni try be ni nganyal ning nganyal ning atondi sipasipal domola itani nyinu do tala nyola because imang ke ibe nyanda fadala nyinu manke kutu mene alon ko ibe mu inyanda tala wari gilen yeah does it harm with any harm something you want your body to consume it. Okay. So nyinu be come amange come gafo abe kule tinyale bala bar come ngalafta yi kay men foden membe ma ko la pour ila yelo la kafola e balo bala wala nyanda kala fenet men yalon ko nyan e ol nidle wala mu sipasipal di oysters nemu nganyalti anen subolu so ni bol domola den ibaje la lafta pour ila balo kawolta ake abe ma ko la so banni na rana nyi lemonol nim fenkol kal o nyol ba jele bolo ta la ba ko nyama ata consume la o nyam ata la ba ko nyam so la na ni bol fenkala ibol ta la do men yan ko abe ma ko la pour yelo la subol nganyaro en sipalu so si kana ni lemonol fenkol ta lemonol ko mol ni wolta nyol fruit sol so se fruit sol fananda fay ba ko yen do mo men fa pare da yen men ta fa pare da e sila ila balos wo absorb fa pare ila balos wo ta fa pare den e sina ta ni lemonol ni lemonol ko mon ni fruit sol fen ka fana fa yol fana ka fa yes for bone yeah so calcium wala fen de melam ka kila balok do fana bambande for baby anen aka fen go fana nafa yelo baby fana nafa And then this what cheese and cheese now. Dairy food. Yeah, that would help what? Okay. Okay. So contract. Okay, okay. Okay, so akamen porenga kumara bakele na nyim blanyim kumara bakele because ne musol jama wuluta ika loose bulor jama ika ila ila nyinga bom bakele so mensi wo talano nimmo wuluta drong anyata ko contraction also contraction is wala nyanda kala fendi me alon ko anyanda ka ila uterus ni butun don't know that in the mandinge that uterus uterus yeah the womb okay kono nyam I know kono nyam yo kono nyam men ga fenga anyanda ka kafuji kamuro ayese anyama so olbebe keno nyama pura italiano ay kewo nyama esaje yelo nyinte bonna no baka because model bije e kana do so blood men at baka wala kana na fenga unconsciously e bana na terno e fen bulu so saje ko kana puje mala bulu so men so keno pour calcium wala na calcium nye kamen for calcium men sila acid akadena no na fale aka bulo ila balo kulo fanam bambani adun anen wulu ke dafa pareda aka contraction no nyin sone ande isaje asikeno isaje la wulu nyangol fengo asikaf no nyola isaje blood nyin tetano la through is the blood part uterus okay out of the mother so baje la yelo men ka fundi bake wo betala la bari nyin fengo nyin besela nyama la ndaki nyola asiwo stop no isaje yelo nyin defindi bala nanka ka bom na muso bala na isaje aka for aka yellow men bomb back because there might be the recent stories we had from Gambia most of the time, it's like they have bleeding out, so that bleeding out means you all I stop no wala indela calcium ila baloko no anyanda kasia anyanda so all came out with contraction on kela ila uterus nyin ila ulu nyawo nyin ka ngani nyola ka kafunyo saja ko asi blanyin sorong saje yellow nyin bonna bako nyama ite follow yellow la bako nyama and those are dairy food wala nyim comme nyim kekelu water milk keke is not a product that was directly from cow and it's not processed, it's not it doesn't have any what do you call it it's not processed or anything that's natural, that's already natural. So what better keke la hani keke men ko ni solo balaten wala yada bidiko do keke sai kamin baga kadi la musola baga kamin wol be better wol be ka ma ko le pour comme na wulu ta kana ala yelo nyi men ka bon baga wol be te tal wol be talala abala atol ala yelo te bonna baga bari ala fengo nyi contraction nyi ka ni muso wulu ta nyanda ka contraction o soro pour comme ka wol ala wulu nyawol mo ta ka fundu nyole saje ko yelo nyi def
I want to say
ko caffeine su kono ma si wo akana o ke fendi melam ka nyande ka wo ma bati wala nyin coffee nyol to den mer wala e ka fengol e ka ti nyol men fananta sa jibe ko ti nyol nim fengol den ti nyol ni ajibe yalam game jama bi je ko ken ka fengol mo ka akaram folo janni ba amala bari yalam wodol be je ni mon man kara wol tawol non so même be je ron ni kono ta drum wo tiñol nim fengol yol ali wol fenga ko ti jamal be jemi ba cafe soro aka coffee soro bala coffee cafe inde e quand même for café so aka usura bala dol men be man be dia muskono mala memu cafe inde and coffee coffee man fendi me most Gambian drink or tea, you know, or normal thing. Tea mo jamala ka umin jani official kono almost throughout the day, you know, or in all morning, you know, most people, you know. Yeah, so tea nying about for your tala ni mumus kono mat for your mota ya junin iba yo wobular friend wala bedada pour kana team in yol be fen because man beda was why. Okay. So okay, so kati na fanang coming for dehydration iba jela ko ite si bila geo wala de ka fo nyanta ka geo so ba ibala ba ni sa ko ni imu musko na mari de nyanta ka geo so ba so ba dika nyin cafe fengol ma ba ka ron men kra ti nyol de ten anen coffee fangol e ka wol min ba ka ron nyi mo mo de han men yana men ra Gambia fangol bari be wala tamadula ol ka cafe men ba ka Gambia ni be Gambia ka ti men ba nyanta ol be stop la because so bat na de ila calcium ni ita balot ha dunno la tata no anyanda tala nyame so wala ne ni e kono so don nyanda cafe yol bole la pol yol bondi la pol kon fere anen team ngol den yol be bondi ma la pol wol be ina fala pour isaje ko asila calcium asi du ila balo sata nyanda tala nyame.
Okay. I want to thank you. It's amazing to be able to reach the Gambian population in one of the local languages. Thank you so much for sharing. And I just want to say knowledge is power, and you know, nutrition is the #1 factor in good outcomes or bad outcomes. So knowledge is power, and if women have the knowledge and apply it, we can make a difference and save lives. And I want to thank you for sharing.
And I will also try my best, you know, to find a better translator. In fact, I'm working.
You're doing better than me. You're doing better than me. I'm happy.
But I'm working on that, you know, in case, you know, like in the Gambia, there's somebody, you know, that a lot of people are following him, you know, online, and he has
Absolutely.
a video and everything. So we'll try to, you know, reach.
Connect us so that we can make a big impact. Thank you so much. May Allah reward you. May Allah bless the mothers who are listening. And Salama, thank you so much as well. We're at the 30-minute mark, so we'll go ahead and close. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.